Alright, and let's go over postbases. So this video was created for the 2018 Alutiiq Orthography class by Candace. And the last slide of this slideshow will show you some resources or references for postbase discovery if you want to look more into it. So what is a postbase? A postbase is a word particle that contains meaning. So those are called morphemes. And they can be added to verbs or noun roots to change or add meaning. Postbases can be stacked one after another to make more complex expressions. So you might add a postbase for always and a postbase for not to mean like doesn't usually or never does the verb that you added it to. In this video, we'll go over how to add postbases to nouns and verbs. It's really important that you know that postbases cannot stand alone, and that some postbases can make nouns into verbs, others can make verbs into nouns, and still others will make nouns stay nouns and verbs stay verbs. There are three main joining types of postbases, so we'll go over each of them. The first two are plus and minus postbases. Plus postbases are added to the whole verb stem, including the final consonant, if any. Many plus postbases also add a consonant to stem endings in vowels. Those appear in parentheses before the postbases. Now, after we talk about assimilating postbases, there is a whole bunch of examples. So we'll talk about what that means, but I can show you here. So if you're going to add piak to a noun that ends in a prime vowel like a, I, or u, and some noun stems end in e. So if you're going to add this postbase to a noun stem that ends in a vowel, then you'd add that R before you add piak. If you're going to add it to a stem that doesn't end in a vowel, you won't add the R, you'll just add piak. So we'll go over some more examples of those in the example slide. A couple other postbases, plus postbases, are doch, which means to eat, dag, which means always, and wik, which is a place to do something. Minus postbases are added to a verb stem minus the final consonant G or R. So if you're adding ungjuk, that N shouldn't be capitalized. If you're adding ungjuk to a postbase that has a G, you'd take the G off before adding ungjuk to the end of it. And we'll go over more of those examples in a few slides. The third kind of postbase is assimilating postbase. And here are the rules. So if a verb stem ends in an A, if the verb stem ends in a G, and you're adding a postbase that starts with a Q, then the G changes, or the G goes away, and the Q changes to a K. So here's an example. We're going to use qui machiu keinach doa, or keinach, qui machiu keinach, and that's swim, the postbase yuch for want, keinach for just or only, and then we'd add wa, uten, ok, sleanga, slea, sleaten, whichever ending we wanted to use. So we have two postbases here. We have yuch and keinach. Keinach is an assimilating postbase that looks like this. When you have the postbase all written out, it's right here. So tilde Q-A-I-N-A-R, keinach. So even though it's written as a Q, we're adding it to a verb stem that's ending in a G. So G plus this tilde Q, it changes everything to a K. So notice Quimahiuqenachtwa, the G is gone. It's not a Q, it's a K. And that's just a rule we all have to learn. So G plus this kind of assimilating postbase, the tilde and the K. For example, ksate, or to not yet have done something, then it stays a K. If it's a G ending verb and a K starting postbase, then it stays as a K. So here we have quimahiuqseitwa. Quimahiuqseitwa. It did still drop the G, and that's to not yet want to swim. And then we have the postbases that start with an R, and those are only the ones with the tilde in front of them. That means that they're assimilating postbases. And the postbase example is chach, and that's to do something first before do something else. So quimahiuchachtwa, and that's to want to swim first before doing something else. So again, we dropped that G, and the R changed to a G. Okay. And then if the stem if the stem ends in an R and you're adding a Q, then it stays a Q. So we have kayahokenachtwa, I'm just yelling or calling. If you're using that R ending stem and adding a K beginning like sate, then you're going to change the K to a Q. And here we have an example. Kayahokenachtwa. So to not yet call or yell. And then we have this one to be doing something first before something else. We have an R ending stem and an R starting postbase, so we leave it as an R. But only one of those, we drop one. So kayahochach. Kayahochach. Okay. And then 4 stems ending in E. And the assimilating postbases, for all of those, we just drop the E and add the postbase. Now, when practicing this, I realized that there's one instance where you won't drop the E, and that is when you have, like in ksate, if you're adding a postbase that has 2 consonants and you're dropping an E, that means there's going to be 3 consonants in a row, and that's never allowed in Alutiiq without an apostrophe or keeping the E in there. So with araqseitwa, then you just keep the E. You could put an apostrophe there and drop the E if you'd like, but I think it's more correct. I might be wrong, but I think it's more correct to do it just like this. Araqseitwa. And here's where it did drop. Arqenachtwa. I'm just going. Arqachtwa. I'm going first before doing something else. Okay, so there are many less assimilating postbases than there are plus postbases or minus postbases. And the thing about assimilating postbases, or why they're called that, is that the first letter of the suffix, or the postbase, will change in different ways depending on the end of the stem. So that's why there's this chart, so that you can clearly see what happens with the assimilating postbases depending on the root word. Whew. Okay. Now here we have noun postbases, and then the next slide we'll have verb postbases. So with noun postbases, we have plus and minus postbases, also assimilating postbases. In this chart, I've done a column for postbases, a column for postbase meaning, a column for the noun that we're going to put the postbase on, and its stem so that we can use that and how to add it on, and then the example and the meaning of that. So if we start at the top, we have an assimilating postbase ku, which means later on this evening or next time, or this coming time, and we're going to use that postbase ku on unuk. Now the stem of unuk is unuh with a G ending. So this is a G ending noun stem and assimilating to a K. So we drop the G and we keep the K. So it's going to be unugu. Okay, so then we're going to look at postbase li, which is to make or to prepare for someone else. So the intransitive one is to make something. If you're going to use a transitive ending, then it means to make for someone else. And the noun we're going to use is pirok. That's right, pirak. The noun stem ends in a G. Now, li is a minus postbase. So we are going to drop the consonant. We're dropping the last consonant on that noun stem. So it's just going to be piruliugut or piruliyuk, and that means we are making parak. Here's one you're probably familiar with, a postbase, negative postbase, minus postbase, ungjuk, which means little, small, or a little bit of a noun. And we're going to use it on yamak. Yamak is an R ending stem. Now, the minus postbase takes off the R, and we just have yamangjuk, little rock. Alright, the next one is huak. It's also a minus postbase. It means kind of, or not really a thing, or it's fake. And we're going to use that on dunduk, which is an R ending stem. And so we get tunduhuak because we're dropping the R and we're adding huak. So we're actually keeping one of those R's. Tunduhuak. All right, the last two are plus postbases, and we have a plus R, piak. So remember that R only goes on to the stem if the stem ends in a vowel. So this stem that we're using here ends in a G, so we're not going to use that R. And we're just going to add piat to, or piak or piat, that's plural, onto sukhbiat, real people. All right, and then chunit, to smell like whatever you're attaching it to. It's a plus postbase. So ikasluk ends in a G, the stem ends in a G. And you're not going to drop anything, but you're not going to add anything. Ikasluk tuchi, yo, smell like fish. All right, and here are a couple, 6 verb postbases. And I'm using a couple different verbs. These are all examples from the verb root word presentation as well. All right, we'll start with neat. Neat is a minus postbase, and it means not to do something. Kumlaluni is to freeze, and here's the root word. Remember that the minus postbase takes away the last consonant in the stem. If it doesn't have a consonant in the stem, then you just add neat to the stem. So that's what we did here. Kumlanidok. Kumlanidok. It's not freezing. All right, and then we have another minus postbase, skak, or one who verbs. And then to climb, mayochloni, with the verb stem mayoch. And we're going to take that R away on mayoch because that stem ends in a consonant. And this is a minus postbase. So it's just going to be mayuskak, the person who climbs, or thing that climbs. Oh. Okay, we have two plus postbases. One is wach or wach, and that's to sort of or to pretend to. And that's a plus postbase. So the ng would only be added if the root word ended in a vowel. And our example does not, so we're not going to add the ng to wach. We're just going to add wach. So oops, that's supposed to have a G in there. That means I kind of burped. Tach is another plus postbase. It doesn't have any optional additions, so we're just going to slap it on to whatever verb root we have. And it means always. So to always do something, whatever it's attached to. And we're going to put it on to be grateful, kuyaluni, or the roots is kuya. And so full sentence would be kuya tahtok. She is always grateful. And then we have two assimilating postbases, khenach, which is just 2V or only 2V. And I hear this from elders sometimes. They say, akum khenach toa, I'm just sitting. And sometimes they'll add, akum khenach tahtoa, I'm just always sitting. So that one was an E ending. Oh, these both are E ending. Examples with the stem is E ending. And with E ending stems and assimilating postbases, remember that we just drop the E and add the postbase as it's written in the examples, or in this definition here. So the and then aghluni, the root word is ach, and we're going to add about to or going to. So ach godachtwa, I am going to go. All right, I know I went through that sort of fast. There are some helpful resources. The Lear Classroom grammar book has a couple different pages on this to help. The first one is section 3.6, which is on page 30. And the second one is section 10.1 on page 110. And then there's a whole appendix that lists a bunch of postbases on page 337. Now the PDF doesn't work very well to use, so I recommend getting a hard copy of the book to look at the appendices. And then the Alutiiqmuseum.org has a page on postbases and how to join them to root words. I hope that you found this helpful. Have a wonderful time. Good luck with postbases.